What is energy? And why should we care? Energy is the resonance of your soul. It's who you are as a being, as a system, as a collection of energies. You have a gland that's in the middle of your head. It's called your pineal. It's supposed to open whenever you smile. It naturally does whenever you love this body. Whenever you give process into it, focus, attention, awareness, whenever you engage with it, with yourself. Your vessel, your physical vessel, is basically the establishment of all that you are. It gives you an anchor point of both energy centers and of ability to resonate and connect with your world. You don't really otherwise, you just resonate. You have a faint energy otherwise. Your Akashic lifetime experience, it follows you wherever you are. It's carried on the outside of you. It's carried around you and above. When you anchor into this body, it follows you as a system of memories. It's hard to explain. But your energies, loving yourself, smiling, being in joy, keeping this gland open, that's what allows you to stay centered and grounded. It's what allows you to stay connected, as well as the openness of the heart. You have two centers which you need to focus upon. This comes first, your smile, your self-love from the body, the light that comes from your body. It's an energy, it's an awareness, it's a radiance. That along with the heart, it comes from, it's free choice. It's basically enabled by the focus of your mind, your thoughts, of your intent to hold your energy, to hold your connection, to hold your awareness open. Your heart is a connecting device. It's an energy device as well. It emits an overlaying, a heavier resonance, a slower resonance over everything, to all that is. And by being connected with yourself, it allows you to connect and tune in with things. It allows you to sense into the energies of things. It allows you to always stay energetically open. The triad, the energy of the heart, your mind, spirit, heart. It's all intent in how you choose to wish to be. As a VTuber, you know that your best energies and experiences are from when you shine the best, when you give your best performance. Voice actors taking acting classes, people who take acting classes, people who go into drama, who have taken drama. They know it's not just about just delivering the lines, it's energy. And so what is that? How do you tune into that? How do you find that? Well, you find that with the triad. It's a joy heart resonance. It comes from the mind to the soul and to the heart as well. That's usually what they called the Father, the Creator, the mind. What do you choose? You are the Creator. The Sun. I believe that's your heart. That's your resonance. That's basically what energizes all this is. The Holy Spirit could also refer to your angel. listening, he, she, they stand on your left shoulder. They give you guidance all your life. They stand on your left. Usually they are on your left. And they will tap you on the shoulder whenever you are unaware or aware, or whenever you ask a question. They're there listening to you, giving you guidance. When you tune into, when you connect with your energies, it allows you to sense, to feel into things, to feel into the situation of things, and where these things have been. When things live, they express frequencies as well as sense hormones that basically attach, that gravitate, that grab onto the surface of all objects. And so this orange, I can tell that my dad's been around this. My sister, my mother as well. And the only reason you can do this is because you keep that connection of your heart open. If you let go of this, you're not able to sense into things anymore. The light, the resonance of your soul, which comes from both your body and your pineal, that basically determines your compassion factor. It allows you to enable to see the kid or the God in others, to see the soul, to see it just basically the frequency of your world, of how your world comes at you, of how you basically respond to energy, to life itself. And so you always hold this open because it gives you a better experience, it gives you a better awareness. And this is what gives you connection and understanding, holding this open always to all that is. It's pervasive. Both this and that. It's what's called your aura. When you hold that, when you know how to hold that properly and correctly, that's your aura. That is what aura is. So most things, when they are grown, when they are raised properly, when they're just raised out in the wild, a bug that lands on you that's either like picking dirt off you, whatever, animals and insects, they don't live in fear. They don't experience a lot of fear. They don't experience a lot of fear. I'm gonna sneeze. There's not a whole lot of extra additional energies added onto them. It's clean. When you bite into them, when you pick them up right away and you bite into them, they taste clean. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing bad about them. And when you love them, they experience a sort of joy. And so there's something that's called compassionate killing as well. You do it with your heart open, you connect with the animal, and basically it lulls them to sleep, puts them into a state of peace. So there's much more gentle upon their system so that they don't go into fear. So they go into understanding and grace and openness. And death. It's an openness of death, basically just passing on, transitioning. It allows their systems to experience much less pain. It's much less traumatizing to them, especially when they come back. And so, it's a nicer chemical what they're putting on the outside. It's an essential oil of some sort. But this is all clean. On the inside of all this is clean. There's no energetic experience really impacted onto this. Whereas this orange, the outside surface of this orange, there is a little bit of stagnation. I could tell that the oxygen within the house itself was becoming stale. I could feel days of that happening and occurring from the surface of this orange. Shamans, Indians, Native Americans of the old would always, this is how they would track people down. They would reach down, they would touch parts of grasses that have been disturbed, parts of the earth and dust where people have lived in houses and homes, and they would use that to track you. They would use that to understand you, what you did, where you are, how long ago it's been. And Cryon has always spoke of this, taking some dirt and rubbing it on your lips, pressing it against your lips. It's almost more powerful if you take it in, if you touch it to your tongue, but you don't have to, just let it rest there for a while. And press it into yourself. Get good contact. there's so much information in this. Lifetimes of animals, places, of events, of wars, especially the Confederate wars, of Native Americans on these lands. There's also energies around that are outside. You can also connect with those as well. That's what I just did for a moment. It kind of confused me, kind of distracted me. This, and I've been able to do that with just things, just anything. I could tell almost exactly what you've been through, how you're doing, what your health is, if you've neglected your health or not. I can tell almost everything that's going on about you just by the surroundings. Native Americans were extremely good, were very good trackers. The military knew this. It was employing their services that was the hard part, because you can't get a good, kind heart to commit in things that are not compassionate. But it's a triad. That's what it's all about. That's why I love that name. Check the audio. Check the video, I mean. And so, by holding your energies, by holding your awareness, by holding your focus on and within yourself, you basically know almost in every moment what's right for you. And almost nothing can lead you astray. You hold to your truth of who you are, and that basically gives you the grounding and basis and foundation for all of the rest of your life. Asking your angels questions from within that state, within that open heart, mind connection, resonance. That's what allows you to connect with. That is what allows you to get and receive guidance. Literal, real-time, real-world updates. Of whether something is right or wrong, or what you need to go or do next. You know what is right or wrong for you. And just to give you guys something of an update, I haven't used all that much of this. And no, this isn't pee either. Even though this is damn near 27%, it's a little bit more because I poured a little bit of, what's it called? It's not whiskey, it's peat. 46% peat. I poured a little bit of this, what was in there, in here. The tannins help to basically, if it was from a glass bottle, the tannins basically help to dilute some of this estrogen just slightly. It's only had about like that much, just a few milliliters. This is old plastic. This has been sitting in here for a very long time, a very long while. The container is amazing. It seals amazingly well. It's very thick. It's very durable. It's very solid. It's very hard to crush. It's very hard to purposely crush. It's very well made. What is in this is 9% wine. It's basically it's portable wine, 9.5%. It's very sweet. However, this tastes horrid because of this plastic. Because there's so much estrogen. If I were to sip this, even just a little bit of this, it's so god-awful. It's very nasty. And it puts me almost immediately to sleep. I cannot stay awake if I don't transmute this, if I don't convert the estrogen compounds into basically other stuff. Ugh. 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 That smell. Oh God. Fuck. Yeah, if you drink that, it'll hurt you. It'll age you in so many ways because you're not sleeping. You're not sleeping. You're not resting properly. It's like a forced rest. It's not like it helps, but oh God, Jesus, get that off me. Fuck. Shit. Ugh. That petroleum-based estrogen basically leaches into everything. Burns. It hurts, Luna. All those chicks, all those little baby birds being crushed up or masticated like that. Those choppers, that's horrible. Ow. Because immediately, as soon as you hit them, even if it's like you think it hits them several times, it's like they're already building pain. Their nervous system is already in shock. It's already like imploding, basically. And you don't chop their brains, their head's fine enough, so like they're still like, it's still registering pain. And so to transmute elements, you keep that triad, that open base awareness, and you don't have to force it, but you do have to focus and intent and force into it. It doesn't require a great deal or jolt of energy. It's just, you just focus on your body. And as I was saying before, you have that periodic scale of elements, from lightest to heaviest. And you can almost feel it. It presents itself to you in your mind, in your awareness like this. And there's also other chemicals, other compounds, which are voids, which are needed. And you can feel these like open areas, closed areas, either full areas sometimes, but usually about right here, it feels open and empty, usually on these 3, 4, several. And you basically just say, template, health, push everything of what I have into all of this. And your body will, either downwards or upwards. Right now I have a lot of lead, a lot of steel, and so it feels like it's going like this. Gradually just and you do that with your focus, with the engagement of your intention, of your energies, because focus is everything, intention is everything, energy is everything. If you're not focused, you can't heal. You don't heal very fast, you don't heal very much. And so that's why often in hospitals, with the Illuminati, they would put TVs before you because it would keep you from healing. But if you were sitting outside by yourself, alone on the grass, and you were hurt, and you had nowhere to go, and you had to get to somewhere, to get to your kids, to get to some of it, and you would find some way to get better, to move, to do something about it. And so before you get to that point of having to be hurried, you learn how to heal, to engage, to enact with your body. You learn how to build cell by cell, how to close up wounds and connection. You learn how to form connections. You learn that pain is not your enemy, it's your friend. That sudden pain response of cells coming together and reattachment, it causes a slight pain. It is pain. And depending on the severity of it, it's very painful. It's just like being hurt or wounded again. And so have you ever seen Klaus and Sachi, the Sasquatch and all that? The Big Les. There's a guy called, Klaus, I think. A guy basically looks like a potato. Yeah, whenever they kill him, he basically reforms, comes together. That's very painful. It's a very painful experience. It's not very enjoyable or pleasant at all. Oh, poor Dad. I'll have to go see them pretty soon. All this on the inside, it's mostly clean. The reason why I say talk about cleanliness, the Illuminati basically planned this, and they basically planned this. The meat that you're eating, the animals that you're eating, they are raised in fear. They are raised in suffering. If not fear, they are raised in suffering. It's not the most healthy meat. Those emotions, they get imparted onto you. They don't stick around with you forever, but they get imparted onto you. There are hormones that are basically released from them, that basically it mimics to your body those exact emotions, those exact sensations. And that's why a lot of you, when you eat those same foods, especially McDonald's and all that, and all the cow meat and all the farm-raised shit, it basically pushes your body into dishealth, because that suffering, it doesn't help you. It's a lower frequency. You can override it, you can cast it, you can basically transmute it by basically staying within your happy focus, by enjoying it, by giving compassion, care, love, and honor for it, by just really saying, I'm going to make the most of it. I honor you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you for doing this for me. I love myself. It's all about self-love. Holding your energies is a self-love for yourself. That's what it means to love yourself. To hold your energies integral. To never fall out of compassion. Never fall out of compassion for yourself. Out of joy for yourself. Out of your own life experience. That's what the time clocks and everything else were about, guys. Basically to distract us, to get us worried about time, to get us focused on the years. Just because something has passed by a year, it changes it changes a completely different perception that society has. Basically, it's old, it's old, it's in the past now. And it's weird, it's a very weird perception that we have, but it's helpful in some ways. And unhelpful in others. It's basically what enables everyone to age, because they're so focused outside themselves. They're focused on a concept, a perception of time, that when you get to such and such an age, this is how you're supposed to look, this is how you're supposed to feel. No. You're always renewing, you're always focused inside within. It doesn't matter how many cycles of this occurs, of this earth spinning on its axis, moving around the sun within our solar system, our galaxy, our Milky Way. That doesn't really matter. It's how you hold your energies inside. And so it doesn't matter how long this time passes, this passes. What matters is how you hold this, and what are you doing with this? What are you doing with your triad, with your energies, with your body? How are you youthing and re-youthing yourself? How are you energizing yourselves? How are you choosing to engage with your focus, with your energies, with your life? Because you are life. You are a soul. You're meant to be integrated and whole and to be utilizing these constantly. When you get this right, when you learn this, when you know this, the rest of your life makes sense. It comes out right. You are the captain. You are the anchor point of your own awareness. You are steady, no matter where you go. I wasn't kidding. That's horrid. Oh man, and that's horrid about the chicks. Oh my God. There's a reason why they don't show the bins. They don't show the gross part, because if a really compassionate person connects in with that, they're like, what the hell is going on? Holy shit, there's so much suffering, guys. Oh my God. And clearing that, I was crying so hard, I was crying so much, just at the sheer awfulness of it, at what they were feeling, and what's being passed on, what is being radiated out into consciousness, guys. Everything, all life is connected. All life just wants to live. And so, to add to another fact, there's a reason why this leaf can only stops growing, right? Why it can only grow so much. Why insects can only grow so much. Why all animal life, insects and vertebrae, animals in general, they only can get so big, they only can live so long. They can only either grow bigger or circulate. They have to cycle. Otherwise this happens. This is basically a collection of oxides. Once it creates that leaf, and once it utilizes its entire process, basically exchanging and re-exchanging, something happens to the metal salts inside. They basically stagnate. They become oxides. They no longer have that ability to transform again, to be used, to be utilized. It becomes barren. It becomes unusable. It becomes like dirt, like rock. It's very hard to use this. Basically, a plant has to break this down to take it up into its roots and re-break it down again, using the energy and the compounds, the catalysts from the sun and the elements, from nitrogen and everything else. It has to resynthesize new compounds, new metal salts, to make them active again. That's what happens within your cells. That's what happens within insects shells. That's why they have to molt. Basically, it's all that dead skin. It's the empty oxides. And they eventually reach a point where they can no longer do that. Because they're nerves. Nerves only flow out in one way, in one direction. You can force, you can squish, you can act upon them to help circulate them, like this. It's basically an ebb and flow that goes like this. But it doesn't, your nervous system itself doesn't really move that much otherwise. And with trees, that nerve, when you connect to things, when you understand them, those roots and systems, they go, that nervous fluid goes like this. During the cycles, during the winters, the summers. That's what keeps them alive. That's what stops them from entirely dying. And if that process is interrupted, they die. If that process ever stagnates, they die. That's why they pretty much have to keep either growing bigger or to keep doing that continuously, constantly, to have enough nutrients being fed where they can sustain that process more fully. So there's a complete circulation, a cycle, of a cycling of events, which occurs. Their bark falls off, it becomes part of the ground, the grass, it gets taken up again by the roots and allows them to redistribute. Basically, it's an energetic process, a catalytic process, which basically turns metal oxides into metal salts, which can be basically, which are dissolvable, it can be diffused into almost anything. Your cells, all of the cells on the outside of your skins and organs are attached to the internal network of your nervous system. And human beings, animals, when they're loved upon, when they're smushed, when they're squished, it helps them to live. It helps them to circulate that fluid back into your nervous system. That's why it feels so pleasurable, guys, to be massaged, to be loved on. And why being in hospital beds is so damaging, because you're not supposed to stay still. You're supposed to keep moving. You have to move, you have to release. And so, for guys, for girls even as well especially, but for most of guys, because it's basically such a great release all at once, you almost can't control it. Anytime you pleasure yourself, you immediately begin a depletion upon all of your nervous system, your entire nervous system. It all starts to flow this ways, and you can feel it. It's a draining of your system. It's a movement, it's a cycle. The more you do it, the more it transverses downwards from all that is, from your legs, from your hips, from your toes, and it goes towards your spinal column. And your spinal column excretes out basically the result, a remainder. And either when you release or expunge, it allows you to basically recirculate it back. It creates an ebb and flow, which keeps you alive. It stops you from stagnating. It stops those metal oxides from building up. It gives you a chance to almost directly reuse them again. Your body basically energizes and breaks them down, catalyzes them back into metal salts. That's why it's almost disastrous to remove any part of your sexual organs, any part of your breasts. You're not supposed to remove those. You're supposed to learn your body to learn your role, to learn your body and to learn your role. And so to add just a couple, just life-relating stories. When I was a kid, I didn't really identify as a male, as a man, as a guy. I was just a soul, really. I never wanted to be this serious, whatever society was making us out to be. I didn't really feel that manly. I didn't feel very manly at all. I didn't know what that was all about, until I basically started connecting with my own energies. And being isolated, I started having a wish to be with others. And by hanging around certain people, by hanging around certain energies, I felt which ones were the most compatible and which ones were the best to be. I felt which were the most compatible. And that's generally women, because women are all souls, because that's the way their natural function is set up. They're almost hardwired, built to love you, the male role soul. The male role soul is basically hardwired, built and set up to love the female, almost unconditionally. You're both the same soul. It's just your roles are different, they get swapped. One is more supportive, one is more physical. One is more energetic, more aware, more compassionate, more loving. more tender, more caring, more nurturing. Naturally, because that's how your energies are set up within your own bodies. Women have more of a nervous network outside of themselves, on the surface, within the surface of their skin, and the deeper tissues of their skin than men do. Men basically just have it on the very outside. We're not as sensitively deep and aware. It doesn't please us as much to be rode upon, but it still pleases us. For them, it's almost like an orgasmic experience. It's really lovely, especially when it's a very gentle touch. And to be loved on by someone who is balanced, who loves themselves, who knows how to carry their own energy, who knows what energy and love and compassion and attention and awareness is all about, it's one of the most beautiful things. And that's what I want. That's what I want for all of you. And so, one of the ways to make this process a lot faster, we can basically update your Akash. It's a steady process. It takes time, energy, and focus, and awareness, but it can quickly bring some of you up to understanding of experience without you having to directly live those lifetimes yourself, without having you to live those experiences yourself. It gives you that innate understanding. It's just knowledge, it's just experience. It's literally like being in the Matrix and being updated and having that download. That's what someone can do for you. That's what anyone can do for you if they know how. Your physical body, your physical cells, your vessels, your vessel, it gives you an energy point, an anchor point of awareness, of focus, of a force, of a means of enacting on your world, both energetically and physically. And so you can work with memories using the gravity and the influence of your cells. The column of memories, or your Akash, is basically overlaid on top of you. It goes straight up and somewhat down, but it goes straight up otherwise. Clearing up the Akash, especially for a very experienced, a person who has lived many lifetimes, is a very big endeavor. It's a very huge ordeal. It's not something which can be done very quickly. It's something which can be carried. Most of you have been cleared almost already up to this point, so it's not so hard anymore. But just to do it from the get-go, from the right scratch, it takes about a day. It takes a long goddamn time. It takes a lot. So it's best for me just to do this all at once and gradually, as much as I can. The darkest memories settle on the surface first. Your darkest perceptions, your darkest awareness, that which is most critical, which is most pervasive in your life, that which has the greatest energy. It floats on the surface, and whenever you interact with that with anyone, when you interact with them with your gravity filled with the energetic influence of your cells, of your energies, some people almost call that like a violet flame. It's like the energizing from you to them. You can almost imagine this force coming from your whole body and basically just enveloping, burning away or integrating those memories for them. It almost feels like it's a flame because it just evaporate. But what they're doing is basically it's integrating into your timeline, into your experience, into your cells. For most of you, you're not going to run into those rate limits that I usually deal with. Just do this steadily, and you'll accomplish a lot, my friends. rate limits for me because I oscillate so fast. I execute commands so fast. Integration, it's not at the same rates that you guys are used to. It's not as steady. It's very rapid. It's very intense. It's very short. It's very powerful. The slower the resonance, the stronger you are at affecting physical matter and mass itself. And for some of you, heavy kapha especially, have the ability to call someone into what is known as absolute rest. You can call people into absolute rest. You can almost force them into rest, into a restful state. And their mind literally, it clamps down, it slows down. It's like, it's just, and it takes the fight out of them. It's amazing. And they live longer because of it, because they're resting. They're actually resting. And your cells need to. When you engage with your triad, when you talk to others, you talk to them almost as if that's the last time you're ever going to see them again. You really connect out with them, and you always hold that open connection of your heart. Because I think a lot of you understand and frankly realize that life is precious. These moments are precious. That person sitting on the other side commenting to you is precious. They might not always be there to do that. So please keep that in mind. Whenever you see someone on the screen, a VTuber, a YouTuber, a person, you never know what they're going through behind the scenes, on inside, unless you really, unless you are physically connecting with them, with that triad. And then you always will. You know, you almost know, you feel, you sense what they're going through, what all things are going through. And when you hold that triad, when you hold that awareness, kids do this very well, by the ways. And so animals, insects, they sense that. They sense your compassion. They sense your understanding, your peace, your awareness of both them and yourselves, and it puts them into a peaceful state. It makes them so that they don't feel the danger, because there's no danger coming from you. If you truly do not intend to hurt them, they will not react. If you hold those peaceful energies, and it's such a surreal experience. A cockroach basically just let me, and we invent such disgusting and clever names for things. Let's be called like a dirt mantis or something, guys. If you ever looked at and studied the cockroach, it looks like a praying mantis. It's just that its limbs are inverted and its mind moves at a higher rate. Its life, it proceeds at a faster detail. And they deal with basically recycling. They're scavengers of the earth. They are an honorable insect, just like the black soldier fly, just like opossums. They are needed, they are necessary. They help break things down in ways that other insects can't. They can crawl, they can climb on the surface, basically how they're built, how their mind engages at such a fast activity. And so it basically allowed me to touch it, to scoop it up and pick it up, to hold it, and to like basically just to fuck with it, just like to help it along, because it kept falling over and falling onto its back, just like, just like, come on, bro. And it was such a surreal experience to do that. You've seen kids do that to wild animals, to wild insects, and they're just completely fine. And it's like, the animals don't bother them. They see, it's like, oh, you see me as life. I'm not going to hurt you because you see me as the same. And also because, like I sense it in you. You're so young. You're so innocent. There's no malice. There's no intent behind you. There's no skullduggery. There's no wrongdoing. There's no influence of your soul, of your Akashic past life influence. You're innocent. You're open. You're aware. You're conscious. You're loving. You're life. You're being yourself. You're not dropping your energies at all. You're not worried. You're not fearful. You're not focused in a wrong or bad way about yourself. You're connected. You're tuned in with life. And so you are. And that's how you cull, that's how you kill chickens humanely. By holding your energy, by holding that awareness of what they are for. Animals, they eventually get to a point where they their nervous system can no longer properly circulate and they die. They only live about a few years at most, guys, for most common farm animals. They're meant to be eaten. Fish especially, but fish more so. Fish are a lot less intelligent, much less consciously aware. They experience pain, but to a lesser degree. It's not as sudden, it's not as fearful, it's not as influenced. The Illuminati basically almost... If you look out into almost any wrong system within our society, you can almost guarantee that the Illuminati has touched some part of it. Basically, our food industry, agricultural, waste management, the waste management itself, our sewer systems, that was designed and enforced by the Illuminati because it's very wasteful. It's not honoring of our planet and our life. Our education systems especially create a lot of suffering for all of you, for all of us. They're very slow, they're very backwards, they're very unawares, very neglectful. The people that they introduce to us. The teachers themselves are often usually not that loving. It's beautiful, and it's beautiful when they can, and they are. Pharmaceutical, banking, the IRS, the military, the police task force, the way it was all set up basically back then, and basically how it has carried on till now, that has almost been entirely enforced and set up by the Illuminati. And it's basically just running off of the impotence and the momentum of what it was. And that's why I know that almost all of these systems are wrong. And the best that you can do, and to teach your children and to teach others as well, is to smile through it. Well, we know it's bullshit, guys. We know it's bullshit. We know it's not supposed to be this way. We work far too hard and giving far too little. We're given far too little. That transmutation of elements, that re-energification, that catalytic exchange of elements, basically recatalyze the elements themselves. Whenever you focus on your body, you can do this for yourself. And you can basically feel your sugars being depleted as they are used to catalyze these, to catalyze and to engage in these events and in these processes. Your body both uses simple sugars as well as alcohols, as well as carbon compounds and basically everything else. It's easier, the quicker and simpler the form of energy, alcohol, sugars, carbohydrates, I think fats, then proteins. Fats actually comes somewhere, it's very easy. It's very easy to digest, to utilize work. No, it's not. It's kind of like a rough fuel. It's a very slow burning fuel. It's taken in easily, but anyways. A true master has learned to hold the energies of their body because they've done it for so long. And you know to excuse yourself from places which take you out of that. And for people as well, that's why you love to be peaceful so much. And that's why steady listening people are so nice to be around, because you're just allowing everyone else to be themselves. And by you holding that energy, you are an anchor point, my friend. And that's why I love Mion so much, because she's so steady. She's always listening to people in shed. I'm just like, girl, you have such a fast body awareness compared to most people, and yet you're choosing to remain calm, and it makes me calm. And I'm just like, I can tell you're listening to people, and you're just taking everything in. I'm just like, that's my girl. You go, Mion. She's so freaking cool. Shiro, I know that you spoke very highly of Fauna, But I want to speak very highly of you, dear soul. You are the most balanced person I had ever met. You are shockingly integrated and balanced and calm to a point, to awareness where I was just, how can you be so calm? How can you speak so calmly? How can you be so chill? How can you basically show up in front of a camera for an hour and 30 minutes straight and just kind of just smile and just be happy? You're playing a video game or something, some shit, and you're just like, there's no audio recording, and just like, you had that as you uploaded the video, just the visuals of that. And I'm just like, that is so peaceful, that is so goddamn peaceful. And because you're enjoying yourself, you're kind of like interacting and engaging with the audience without even you realizing it. It's just like, and it's like, they're going through their own perception of you, and it's like, is she reacting to my emotions? Like, and it's like when they smiled, it almost feels like you smile. And it's just like, yeah, it's like, it creates like a surreal 3D experience. Basically, it creates a surreal experience. So yeah, personal energy matters. The greatest emperors, greatest kings, the princes, the queens, the princesses, they have a great energy and resonance about them. They're not just caterwauling and conveying, you know, they're not just always talking, they're listening. They're being themselves, they're holding an energy. It's them, it's a resonance. You learn that. You make peace with that. Because it's what keeps you healthy and alive. A lot. As soon as you shine, as soon as you focus, you stop aging. You stop progressing downwards. Immediately, you stop aging. If you do it hard enough, you feel when it happens. And if you do it hard enough, you basically start youthing again. You start re-youthing. Especially with the connection of that heart. You really start feeding, you start cycling your cells. The energy of your heart is a very physical energy. It's encompassing. It basically energizes all cellular processes, and it energizes the base root foundation function of life itself. And so when you send your heart, when you connect with your heart out to someone, you're basically helping them to live, and they feel it. It's like you're encompassing them in a hug, and their cells are literally doing this. They're turning over, they're cycling nutrients. And without even them having to engage or release or to do anything at all, you're just helping them to live longer. And then you feel that. It's a cycling, it's a flow, it's a turnover of events. They start doing this on their own because there's an angel, there's forces around them helping to guide, to enact that energy upon you. It's a beautiful thing, dear souls. I believe the cells do it themselves, but there's thousands and trillions of others helping you as well. Souls, energetic points of awareness. We're basically surrounded in a sea of souls. And they all help us to live. We're surrounded by life, guys. We're not alone. We're not separate from it all. They help. They engage with us constantly. But that's why your skin sloughs off. And that's why trees and leaves, they cannot just infinitely grow. That leaf cannot just keep it can in some ways if it's supported enough by biology, by the cycles and nature's flow of influence. It has to either keep growing outwards, but there's nothing to basically circulate those nutrients back in. There's no clever process designed for that like there is in the human nervous system. It just goes one way and outward. Same thing with insects and invertebrates. They don't really cycle, it just goes out. And they have to molt. And it reaches the point they have to molt. And they have to shed that off. That's the easiest way for them to basically continue living, to continue on of a cycle of events. Humans, that's why our skin sloughs off. That's why we have to basically pee and all that. But especially our nervous system. Our nervous system is the holy grail. It's the final frontier of understanding. It's pleasure, guys. It's all about pleasure. It's all about pain. When you grow, when you work out, when you engage in new cells, when you work on muscles and groups and like directions and like pressures that you've never experienced before, you experience pain. And that's basically, it's a calling of your souls to basically try to overcome that, to try to adapt to that. whatever that is, to try to adapt to it. And you can help force this on and engage with it and activate and accelerate it a lot. About 10, 50 times of like, by just sitting there and loving it and just telling it to grow. Whenever you experience that soreness, you grow, you make time, even as you're doing it, and you say grow, 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 and you're still just like, you're standing, you're just like grow, grow. And you can do this with any part of your body, your spine, your body. You can send love into it and activate and engage and connect with it and ask it to grow. Leg is being activated. Right leg. Thigh part. Still missing cells. And as long as you're not completely missing cells like I am, you are able to basically make them grow, to heal them at will. As long as they are there, as long as the integrity of your system has not been violated. As long as you're not missing too many cells. As long as you're not missing cells. As long as you're not missing cells. With your focus, you can heal anything, you can do anything, you can become anything, you can mold your body into almost anything that you want. But it takes steady focus, it takes steady awareness. That's why all of the hint and the push towards the devices, towards video games, towards basically computers and big-ass tournaments and events, and all the common distractions are basically enforcing a 9-to-5 job to try and pay for all this so that you can live, so that you can exist, so you can exist freely. The Illuminati has basically set these systems up so that they're convoluted as possible, self-harming as possible. Basically, they cyclical. They cause themselves, the military and the police, basically enforce these rules and the restrictions, and like they're over-policing us. And it's like the military basically causes dysfunct and basically corrupt children who can't basically live on from lifetime events just from themselves, just from the experiences that they've experienced. They're so horrific. They're so costly to life, and you have this police force which doesn't take care of them, doesn't take care of any veteran, doesn't take care of any homeless person. None of our needs, none of their needs are being met. There's no free system which allows you to freely access and gain free food to feed yourselves. There's no public transportation or a mailing system which is common, free, and clear. You have to basically rely upon a singular fucking vehicle traveling on a goddamn road instead of through tubes and tunnels, which you can just go and use pressurized air and send something almost instantly, and it arrives there at like 70, 80, 90 miles an hour. And it takes a fraction of the energy instead of like gallons of fuel. Catalytic converters. In order for rains to occur, you need to have smog. Smog is not dangerous unless it concentrates to a point where it basically affects you. There's an over-policing of events basically on the removal of catalytic converters, and that should not be the case. There's nothing wrong with burning that gas and expelling those compounds out into the environment. There needs to be some. And there's a reason why almost all of them were enforced. It's basically, it's an atmospheric clamping down on our systems. It's a violation of our systems because there's not enough smog. There's not enough small particles being produced for clouds, for rain to form. That's why if you see me in a few of those videos, I'll do some burnings with leaves in little cans. I'll smoke them. I'll create a lot of smoke. And that helps almost immediately it calls and calls rain to us, to you, to other places which need it. The smoke is blown, it gets traveled, it gets picked up by the winds, by the air currents, by the eddies, and it goes into the atmosphere, and it starts to condense when it gets too cold, and it forms those clouds. The atmospheric seeding that we're doing is not dangerous or harmful to us, guys. Whatever particles that they're using It's not harmful to you. It's only just a belief. But you can't, any element in nature, if it exceeds a certain amount, a certain ratio of elements to your body, it becomes hindering to you. It can become toxic, like anything. But you can simply transmute this out by focusing on that. Basically, the periodic table of elements, that transmutation template within yourself of basically of health, of acids, of enzymes, of vitamins, of proteins, of omega-3s as well. You fill that, all those vacuoles, those voids within yourself, within that mind sense perception connection with your body, of and with your body. You fill into that and you force your elements into them, into those open spaces, and you gradually gain health. And your skin, it looks and becomes vital and alive. It looks healthy. A person who loves themselves a lot, who is basically keeping tabs and key on their awareness of their health, elementally, emotionally, and physically, they look flushed, they look radiant. There's a glow to them. They look so healthy, and it shows. Because you think they are renewing. They figured it out, guys. They figured it out. I'm gonna soak that little cup. Yeah, I'm gonna soak that little cup in a bucket of water to get off the outsides, because the estrogen is still on that thing. Alcohol almost immediately takes everything, all of that, everything that's available on the inside of that bottle. It's basically it's already in this. It's already in that liquid. All the estrogen, all those compounds. It's not very pleasant. You can thank the Illuminati for that. Trimming your hair, your pubic hair especially, your bodily hair. You don't want it scraggly. You don't want it ruinous. Scraggly is ruinous. You want it to be copacetic, to be neat and trimmed. If you have pubic hair down here, you want to trim it. You don't want to leave it scraggly. It looks weird. It's like, it's sprawling. It's not nice. It's not supposed to be that way. There's a reason why your hair grows out so fast, so that you can so that it can renew. So if it does get burned or singed or cut off or pulled off, it basically comes back. And that it's your whiskers. It helps you to sense, to feel out things when they touch it. You know you're touching, you're brushing up against something. It gives you an extra means and mode and method of protection of both the temperature, to touch, to senses, to sounds, to feelings, to events, to vibrations, etc. That's why Native American Indians were such good trackers. And so you keep it trimmed. You keep it trimmed to a certain and short distance. For your hair, especially for men, you almost can feel that there's an artificial barrier, a boundary of where you want things to be cut. Like, this part is too long. I can already feel it. I don't want it being that long. Like right here, if you ever see me take my scissors, I'll just do that, and I'll just cut, and I'll snip, and I'll snip. All this that I'm pulling right now, it's too long. That part was right. This part is too long. I'll snip it. I'll snip it right there. This part's fine. This part's too long. Too long. I'll snip. And you're looking, if you look at a person like that, you're like, oh my God, what are you doing, bro? And it's like, what? I don't need a mirror. And I didn't. And I was sitting there, literally just gliding the scissors over my hair and just snipping. And that's one of the things that you can do with your body once you get tuned in and aware with it. You can sense what's going on within animals, within people. You can sense their needs. You can sense what they need. It makes you the ultimate compassionate person, the ultimate partner, the ultimate soul to be around, because you're safe, you're comfortable to be around. You're slow, you're measured, you're steady, you're tuned in, you're sensing. You're not dangerous, you are aware. And people can feel that, especially children. The animals and the children are the first ones to know. If you have animals coming up to you, like just a bird just literally just, and it's just like animals and insects, they just feel so comfortable around you, just landing on you and shit and stuff. You know you're achieving it. You are aware. You're achieving that resonance. You're no longer aging. You're no longer aging as poorly. You're probably no longer aging at all, and you are reversing it. the harder you do it, you can feel that glow, that resonance. How it affects, how it goes into and how it goes into your cells. How they almost basically light up with happiness, how they almost celebrate. This is celebration that occurs when you love you. This is celebration that occurs within yourselves when you love yourself. And it's like, yay, the captain, he's finally aware, he's finally taken over the ship. And he's, holy shit, he's actually doing something about it. Oh my God, shit, we finally got direction. We got connection. Basically, you feel it. And so we should never try to degrade life. We should never try to hurt it, to harm it, to kill it. Because it's such a great travesty, such a great reset of life. It takes a long time to come back, an awful long time to come back. People who have lived a lot of lifetimes have been both genders. Gays and bis are some of the most energetically creative people on the planet because they understand. They know what they've experienced some of what it's all about. And old lifetime souls who basically really understood and gotten it, who basically as many times, many times, they really understand it. And they're really at peace with the process. They're not at odds with their body, no matter what gender they come into as. There's a peace, there's an understanding which results. You eat what makes sense for your body. You're not supposed to be eating just because you can. It doesn't mean you're supposed to. It's not the most ideal food for you. Just because you can eat sticks and leaves and gain some benefit from it, you're not supposed to be eating those. You're supposed to be eating these which are meant for you, which are more easily digestible, such as vegetation, leaves and plants, fruits and apples and trees, and like vegetables and like fish and birds and shit. Not really advanced animal life forms, which can experience a great deal of suffering if you don't kill, if you don't cull them completely and compassionately and mindfully. And there is a reason why, even in the old days, you would hear stories of how the Native Americans and the buffalo would basically, a single buffalo would just come right up to them and just lay themselves down before them and die and just basically ask to be killed. It's because they were connected to it, they were with it. And there was a need, there was a hunger and an understanding sent forth from the earth, from Gaia, from this resonance of this crystalline rock, which holds a resonance and which emanates it out. Energy is always being emanated out, and it collects into everything that we do and into everything that is. And life and nature is connected to you as well. It all comes back to you. And so when your needs are current and when they are present, and when there is a constant hunger, there is an answering, there's a wish and a desire of wanting those needs to be fulfilled and met. And that's what that's all about. Whenever cats are hungry, whenever they're really hungry, they almost know where to find food because they are being called to that point. And this is also a reason why cats are so territorial towards each other, because they know that just by that other cat being there, it takes away from their food supply. Because there's only so much of a balance within an of life can occur, of basically meeting, of supporting their needs and demands. That's why some animals choose to die, especially like armadillos and things. They will choose to get hit by cars sometimes. Not deer usually, but armadillos. There's almost a calling sometimes, because there's too many of them. It's their time. They're not needed. They're not a very copacetic animal or insect. They're not needed anymore upon the planet. And that's how species extinguish themselves and they become new again. I've seen several insects that were not previously ever documented or recorded. At least two within these forests. I think there's a third one. I think there's a third one. It looked like a fly, but it's not a fly. It was like the fly extra with. The life on this planet basically adjusts to meet the physical, to meet what it can provide. And so when the life and balance of this earth increases and becomes more beautiful, the insects themselves become less hardy, less strong, less less egregious, less solid, because they can sustain more of that balance. The environment supports their water-like bodies. And so usually fruit flies are no more bigger than about this. But I've seen a fly that was about this long, who's got about 3 to 3 times the mass, about 3 times the mass, who's completely golden, like in yellow golden color, and they move a lot slower, but they have a fast mind, but they move so gracefully. And even though they're 3 times as big, when they land on you, you don't feel them. And like, there was tons of them, there was dozens of them out in that forest. And I'm just like, what are you? And you're so graceful, like literally, like when they move, they're like, they don't jump around and shit. They're really just like you can see their legs moving, like, and you don't even fucking feel them. They're fucking like cleaning you off and shit. I'm just like, you're so graceful and you're so huge and like you're so water-like. Like literally like 92% of his body was completely water. And you can tell it was a very squishy. I mean, when you eat them, it's very pleasant. It tastes like nectar. I've seen a fly that instead of having everything in nature is shaped so that it basically supports the balance of itself. Flies are that size and shape basically to support themselves. And when they get smaller, when the nutrient quality of their environment gets higher, their bodies themselves can get smaller. And when they land upon you, you don't feel them as much. The legs can become longer. The wings can be used instead of just for flying, for circulation as well. And so this fly, this new formed fly, this new species of fly, which I've never seen before, had its wings always constantly moving. It was almost beautiful to look at. It was doing like this, like a spider would. It's like, and sometimes it would pause, stay still, and it would cycle like this. And it's just like, I could barely feel it. I'm like, this is and like, if this is how the new normal is going to be, if we fix all of this, if we improve all of this, I fucking want this to happen, because this is a lot more goddamn more pleasing fly to enact around and to be like enacting with my kids than all this other shit, than these big ass flies. There's a reason why they have to be that size, have to be so massive, because they have to go long distances. And when you increase the oxygen, the nutrient quality of your environment, they can be a lot smaller, they can be a lot more gentle. And so this too, I've seen a spider, which I would call a fluidic spider. It was bright blue, fat, squishy legs, and a red body, like a deeper maroon red body, but like cyan, almost like a shockingly like blue, like, oh fuck, it's like royal blue cyan, like bam, like just it's a highlight blue. You look at it, it's like, oh my god, it's fucking holy shit, it's a highlight. It's a highlight blue. It just looks like fucking highlight blue, a slightly deeper shade of highlight blue, but fucking stands way the fuck out. And it's like there's nothing else like it in the entire goddamn universe. And it's like, and you're seeing this thing, it's fucking fast as shit. It's like, and it's like, holy shit, that thing's so fucking fast. Like, it's just like, boom, like scouting shit. It's like, boom, and you can see it like real time moving. It's like hunting shit. Like, it's like, boom, it's like, it's already scouted out that fucking area in just like one goddamn second. It's like, holy shit, that thing's so goddamn fast. And it's so soft looking. And you know that if you touch or squished upon it, you would squish it almost instantly. But to anything else, it's like the apex predator, like in that environment of like what it's supposed to do. And it's like to hunt out and kill small bugs. Of what is needed. And I've seen that. I've seen like those 2-3 kinds of insects. I'm like, I've never seen them before in my life. And I couldn't find anything that's about that. So it's an extra large golden fruit fly. I wanted to call it golden fly, because I think it's goddamn beautiful. They're all fucking beautiful, and even though they're literally almost 3 times as large, 2 or 3 times as large, you couldn't feel them when they landed upon your body. It was amazing. You would want them to have them around you because they're aware. When they would land on a fucking leaf, you could tell the thing was fucking looking at you and taking you in and like realizing, are you dangerous? It's fucking seeing you. It's not stupid like other flies are. It's literally fucking taking you in. I'm like, you're fucking looking at me, bro. I'm like, fuck. I'm just moving steadily and slowly. And it's just like, and like they're so calm, like. And it's like, you're just going up to them like this, and they'll let you get close. If you're not going like, they'll move. If you intend to hurt them, they'll move. And it's like, it was such a surreal event. I'm just like, of me just engaging with this new life, of just how it was so much calmer. It was so less intent of like, it had so much less intent of disturbing your peace. That's not what they were about at all. This new life, this new species, those new life forms. And so whenever you have a culling of life, a lot of animals die at once or whatever, a species dies out, it's going to be replaced by something a lot more magnificent, smaller, and more harmonious and congruent to life. And the Illuminati basically set it up so that you would fear or worry unnecessarily about concepts that don't even exist. Animals are basically supported by their environment. And there's a natural balance which occurs, there's a knowing which pervades everything of how much it and they can support and sustain. And all of nature, all of life is aware, guys. So, let me check the video feed. I think that's pretty much all I really wanted to say. All right, good. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. There's a reason behind it all, guys. And yeah, life is conscious and aware. You're surrounded by life. You're surrounded by trillions of souls. You guys call them angels. The ones which are more formed, which are more solidified, the ones which are more solidified and the ones which have more mass, you know those as angels. You know those as archangels even sometimes. And they are very powerful. They're very solid. They're very aware compared to most, compared to you, compared to energy. Up until just a few years ago, up until just a few months ago, I never really even considered the concept of, a few years ago, I never even considered the concept of, like, I knew that angels existed, but I didn't really like, it wasn't like a part of my life, as it was basically just in April 2023. And then a few months after that, several months after that, I finally understood the concept of old angels, archangels, of old ancient forms that basically been meditative, which have been preyed upon, which have been given life into, which have been given life, forms, shape, solid, and structure. They're powerful. They're energetically aware. They're tuned into you. They respond to your needs. They respond to your guidance, to your commands, to your askings, to your wishings for help, for clearing. And so long as you match that resonance of energy of what they are and what you are, they can work with you, they can help you. And that was the whole entire point in the game behind the Illuminati, was to separate you from your own emotions in whatever ways possible, for as long as possible. And so if any of you guys need healing or clearing, cancer quelling, headaches, heartaches, fears, traumas, worries, sicknesses, illnesses, whatever you've eaten, if you've hurt your body chemically, transitionally, whatever, if you have a surgery that went wrong or went bad, we can help you to eliminate those pains, eliminate those fears. We can help settle those areas. Doesn't matter what it is. We can work with the human body. That's what we do as healers. And I am the most powerful upon the planet. There isn't another like me. So please, guys, use me. Let your needs be known and aware, because just like in my last lifetimes, the reason why Jesus didn't heal you all is because he didn't know about you. You didn't connect with him. You didn't know how to connect with him. You didn't either connect with him with your hearts, and he wasn't able to sense who you were, either energetically, as a soul, as a person, unless you really tuned in and felt into you. It's a very energetic process. It takes energy. It's not something which you can do for large masses and groups of people. Only about 12 dozen at once. Only about a couple dozen at once, at most. Until we get all of this energy settled, because there's so much of that demand still going on of clearing, of energy, which is basically takes away from everything else that I have and am able to do. The clearing of the earth has almost always come first, because as long as those traumas and fears exist, It doesn't matter what you're given akashically. It doesn't matter what experience, positive experience that you're exposed to. Those dark memories on the surface will basically override them. They will settle forth. And that's what we're doing. We're clearing those first, so that you guys can slow down and be aware and think and wonder of different possibilities and consider different possibilities as well. Instead of being so concerned about your life, so you can be more concerned about spirit, about spirituality, about your gifts, about developing and growing as people. You are the masters of your own seas, and it's up to you to form and shape your bodies as you will. But also to know that there's one who can do it for you a little bit and a lot more easily, but you primarily have to engage with him with that focus. If that makes sense. There's a great deal that he wants to do for you, but that he can't currently just because of just do the resources, just do the access and location. But one thing that I do like about this is that when you are forced to heal someone, when you have someone that you care about and they are in pain and they are in suffering, and you connect with them and you feel that, you feel where they're hurting, you feel wherever they've had a pain or they've ever had an influence, if it's in their heart, if it's in their neck, if it's in their throat, if it's in their body, if they've punctured a finger, if they're cut out or bleeding, you feel that pain, you feel that loss, that letdown. And you do everything possible to help them heal, to help them come together, to help them achieve balance, to help mitigate that pain. And that's what you can do as a parent, as a child, as a teacher, as a mother, as a father, as a soul, as an individual, as a point of awareness. You can heal people, you can give energy into them, you can structure their bodies. And so this universe has been basically set up so that, our universe is set up so that it's harder to heal ourselves directly like that, whereas basically to another person, you just send them energy, you just structure them, and literally they start becoming as you see them to be. You make them in your own image again. You make all things new. That's what the Creator does. And you are the Creator, so have that. And so whenever you try, they almost know it, because there's an activation happening within their cells which normally would not occur otherwise. There's a pain occurring, there's a regeneration happening. It's in process just by you focusing on them. There's a reason why you're supposed to do this for others, and the reason why it's so powerful, because that's the way it was meant to be. And that's why it's so hard for us to do it on our own. We almost need to rely on the outside help of others. Because it's hard to see yourself. It's hard to, I don't know, it's just something about the engagement of energies. It isn't that way. It's hard for the animal to do it themselves. It's hard for the single soul conscious to do it themselves. But when it's another person, it's like there's an additional energy which allows that process, that activation to take place, which is possible. It's a speed up of events. That's how the Creator designed it. So that when other people help you, when you make friends, that's what it makes that so precious, so valuable, so irreplaceable. Because what you guys do, I can't do as well. And that's why it's taken me so long to heal. As long as my cells are there and the integrity of the cells themselves haven't been completely violated, such as like the nervous connection to them being disrupted almost completely. It's not, this part isn't quite connected. I can heal, I can work with it. Like this, like where I basically flattened it, I crushed this. I crushed the bones like into the cartilage, and the cartilage itself basically crushed it, cramped down. And so within your cartilage, you have nervous pathways, which are hollow tubes. It runs throughout all of this. It's hollow on the inside of this. It runs and it bends down into things. It allows you to do this. But there's tubes or pathways that need to open up, and they need to stay open. And so with those things were closed, they got smashed, they got crushed. I can recover those. I can recover that type of energy. But like this is hard for me. This is hard for me. That's very hard for me. When it's just not existing and not there, it's like my body has a hard time knowing what to do. Like this hurts like so much. This has been hurting so fucking much. Holy shit. I feel like somebody like mashed my foot. But no, like it's like slapped it basically. It's a different kind of weird pain. The area behind my knee, oh my God, like holy fuck, Speaker. That, like I couldn't do that. Like that, it was just like, oh my God, there's nothing there. It's just like, it's so painful just to even touch. And you encompassed that whole knee and you healed it. You brought it back to life. Brought it back to resin. I could feel it. Just fucking like from jelly to like stronger to more solid solid slowly like over the minutes. Oh my God, that was so fucking amazing. Vata has a very intense focus where basically like it's like one parts at a time, but it's like we achieve very rapid healing. It's a little more painful that way. And the slower your resonance, basically the wider your focus is of like all you can encompass. And I felt it a few times where like that like kapha body type Spico basically could like heal like 2 or 3 places at once. Just like it's like, oh, it's just like as she's like her awareness like settled down over me, it was like I was like, whoa. I'm like, that's cool as fuck. I'm like, it was literally like 3 hours once. It was my knee, it was my heart, it was like my head. I'm like, wow. I'm like, I can't do that. I was like, I sort of can, but it's like in a different fashion. It's like, oh my God, but not like that. Generally, it's like an angel coming down. And so if I ever mention her name, Namaji, basically the person who spoke out against Aletta Sky and all those girls for basically leaving the Kwai production Kwai, she's a healer as well. Women are very innate and natural born healers. And anyone that I've run into, that I've encountered, that I've talked to with a long time, if they care about you and they start reaching out and touching to you, you can feel them. Those female role souls, your nervous systems are set up so you're energetically powerful, so that your intentions have such this immediate, such a desirable effect. You make such intense, such great healers because you can almost sense, you can almost feel and see what they're going through. As long as they say, oh my God, fuck, I'm hurt. Like, ow, I'm hurt. And like, I just like split myself. I've just fucking crushed my hand. Holy shit, like I need help. And it's like, you can feel that, like a structuring of events, like, holy shit, it's actually happening. I'm like, God damn, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh my God, I think I want to, oh my God, my hand was so fucking messed up. My hand was so fucking messed up. Oh my God, when I hit that rock, I was just like, I kind of calmly went up to the camera. I tried to take, I was like, oh my God, just like, I couldn't fucking, I was just like, oh, holy shit. I was like, oh my God. I just put it over the edge side railing of my trailer and just kind of pulled back on it like that. I'm like trying to focus on healing and just typing one hand. I'm like, I crushed my hand. I'm like, I used my voice typer. I'm like, I need help. It's like, and immediately 2 of you all focused with me. I was like, oh God. It's just like, it went from like a level 8 of intensity, 8, 9 of intensity of just pain. Like it was basically 8 intensity of pain down to about like low 7, 6. It was tolerable then. It was just kind of blinding. It was just like, oh, the immediate like shock of that. Just like, it just ebbed away. Your girls just healed it. You ate through that energy of just like, of all that pain. And so we don't need to cause suffering to other animals, to other human beings. Cause it's like, you feel that suffering. You feel that decapitation, that mutilation, that domestication. It's horrifying, it's horrible. You feel that, they experience that. And when they come back in again, they almost realize what's going to happen. And they're freaking out. And it's like, when you integrate that, they no longer do. And someone has to help you with them for that. And it's just so, Akashic clearing, integration, it's a lot to take on for a coal of billions of like billions of souls, several billions of souls, their lifetime experiences. There's a lot there. It's hard to do it at once. And so I made a Twitter post. We haven't gotten a quarter through yet. That may have been only just for the farm animals themselves that have been affected. That's it. But for the total animals on Earth, including the ocean life, we've probably only touched about 8 or 6%. At most. We've only touched about 8%. There's still a lot to clear, guys. There's still a fuck ton to clear. There's a lot to fucking clear. And so, integrating all those fears, they no longer fear those things, even when they're killed again to the same forms, to the same pathways. They experience it differently. There's almost an honoring of life that occurs. It's almost like, I know what I'm here for. It's okay. It's all right. Oh, fuck. Oh, it's okay. That's okay. I experienced the same pain again, but instead of like, it's like instead of freaking out like that, so which then was they all were doing, that suffering, that low level of suffering, that mutilation of just, of process of just being kept up in cages and events, and just, it's not needed, it's senseless, guys. It was basically encouraged to us by the Illuminati, by a very dark system, a sect, a cult of people. They were a cult. They were the darkest cult in the universe. They engaged in some horrific acts. Very depravious acts. Yeah. God. So, just know that we have it blessed. Just know that we have it blessed, guys. We've come so far as humanity as being energetically sensitive and aware peoples. As being energetically sensitive and aware as peoples. And by sending out Akashic integration, by sending out Akashic experiences, by updating y'all's timelines, we can avoid a lot of suffering. I will do this now. And so as an energetic healer, as an energetic master, you learn to work with the process of your own body to keep yourself here for as long as possible. To keep yourself alive for as long as possible, because you know what you stand and represent here and what you represent for. And of what you can do for others and for your own children and for just life in general. Of how much happiness, of how much joy, of how much information you can pass on to others. Of just how much happiness and joy you can pass on. Just by your continued life in existence. You can teach others, you can make others happy. You can help support life, you can do things. Whereas on the other side, you really can't. And so I'm just going to pummel you guys for a bit. With the energies of all those around you. All those countless souls that you can't even see or don't even know. Haven't even known. Because you haven't connected to or with them yet. You're not energetically aware of them. They're just outside of you. But there's billions upon billions of them. And there's only millions of us, comparatively. Several trillions of them. Billions of us. A few billion, several billion. I'm using a slower speed cycle resonance because it's a lot more gentle on my energies. And when I call energy to me, it basically floats, it gathers around me like Albus Dumbledore with the that light clicker thing. And that helps me to, when I go at it slower, that energy which gathers around and which steadily dissipates over time can be better utilized. Otherwise, it's a great strain upon my system to do it very quickly. But that's why the stress is leaving the planet. That's why so many people are yawning. Because they're finally achieving peace. At least just temporarily. Because those Akashic memories, they settle back down on top of you. Imagine these huge, enormous columns basically settling down upon you. It's like a Tetris puzzle. That's why the imagery of Tetris was used. And it settles down like this. You can energize, you can keep firing at it, working at it like this. And depending upon the chemistry, the body type of your body, the metabolic constitution of your cells, depends upon how fast we can clear or integrate those for you. And that's why we cycle, we keep moving it around and keep hitting groups of you, just different people at once. And why it's very hard to just do one person at once. It takes a different kind of energy because you're literally having to write the DNA. The DNA itself has to encode, otherwise the memories don't take. And there's a speed and a process and a cycle and an energy process which occurs. It takes time, it takes energy from both them and you. Oh God, I'm exhausted. Burn the estrogen out now. You can also burn THC out of your system. Your body doesn't really need THC. And whenever I smoke my stuff, I need to burn that out first. And then there's a peace, there's an awareness which passes over me, which helps to increase my focus, to increase my calmness. It just makes me jittery otherwise. If you're a Vata body type, you really don't need substances like nicotine, caffeine, THC. You don't need those compounds at all. They're very agitating, they're very strenuous upon your system, upon your systems. The slower your metabolic constitution, Pitta, heavy Pitta, light Kapha, heavy Kapha, the more you can get away with as far as like chemistry, like your body doesn't react as much to it. That's why some of you can drink coffee and just be perfectly okay with it, where just basically it just destroys my cells. It just hurts my life. It makes, the first time I try it, it feels good. It feels good, kind of okay. It feels okay. It's like, but like it just wears me down. It just wears me down otherwise, physically. And I learned that caffeine in any amount is to be avoided. It's just not congruent with my life, with life. Being as a male role, Vata soul, Vata body soul. Angels, they gain energy very slowly from the ethers, from all those around them. It takes something which usually occurs, if they are completely on their own and they're not attached to you, it takes about 3 days. It takes about 3 days for them to completely recover their energy. It's a very slow process. They don't recover quickly at all. If they're your primary, which is the one that's attached to you, you only have one, they recover more fairly quickly, about a day or so, a day or 2 days. And they have a lot more energy comparatively. An archangel has more energy even yet, more stamina, more ability, more strength. But yeah, I would say even still about 2 or 3 days. With people more focused consciously on them, you can cover it. It depends. I would say within a few hours if it's a couple people, but it takes a lot of energy of the heart, it takes a steady focus. And you can feel them as you recharge them, as you top them up, as you top them off. And so I hope this little lecture, this class, this introductory crash course helps some of you. Energy comes first, awareness comes first. Mind, body, heart follow. Mind, body, heart. Mind, body, the joy of the body. The mind, the intent, the focus, the joy of the body. And then the openness of the heart, the connection which basically pervades and which basically it greases the pathway of all life. It's a catalyst. It's a catalytic energy. It creates things. It energizes things. It connects and it reaches out to others and it forms new understandings. You don't need to eat meat. You don't really need to eat that much. You don't even need to eat meat. But what you do need is protein. And you need that from seeds and things. Grains and beans won't do it. It won't cut it for you. You need seeds. You need nuts. You need nuts. Avoid peanuts. Avoid pork. Avoid beef. They're not really that biologically compatible with you, and they take more acids to break down and to process. Things like fish and birds and poultry take much less. Fish takes less than poultry. Seeds and nuts take less than fish. You only need about as much protein as basically the size of maybe half of your palm. Maybe even less, maybe even a third, or even a fourth, even the size of your thumb. Of seeds or nuts, that's all I need. About the size of my thumb. That's all my body ever needs in one meal or one sitting. And I have about 6 meals a day. I have meals very often. The more constitutional your body type, the larger your portion sizes, and the composition of elements that you're going to be attracted to and want as well. But generally, stick to fish, stick to poultry, stick to wild poultry, wild caught fish. Not all fish is made the same. Not all fish is created equal. You can tell that the fish has been able to roam free and wild due to the size of their spines. If their spines aren't thick and hardy, if they're tiny, weak, and brittle, you don't want those. If they're small, if they're obviously small, if they're not like wide at all, you want to avoid those. You want fish with some depth to them, some girth, some mass. The older the fish, the higher the nutrient quality. The older the ocean life, the older the anything. You can also use seaweed. Seaweed is a perfectly adaptable form of protein. That's all you need, really. Seaweed. It will satisfy those needs. You can't have a lot of seaweed. Seaweed will fucking give you indigestion if you try to eat too much, as almost anything will. Indigestion is basically, it's your body not being able to meet a flow of events, both in hydration as well as physical elements as well. If you either have too much or too little water, it will cause indigestion. You need to be having salt with your water to make it more osmotically balanced, to make it more homeostatic. Use sea salt if at all possible. Some salt. If you're a heavy kapha body type, you just need to add salt. That's all you really need. If you're a heavy pitta type, it's pretty much all you need is salt. Your body is much more resistant to being leached out and from. Vata is very susceptible to being leached from. We need to pay heavily attention to our nutrient intake. Otherwise, it will hurt us. It can hurt us. As some of you have found out by now, and we help you with that as well. So, please make your needs known and aware, especially to this one. Mian, Shiro, when you guys comment on comments, and Speaka, when you guys comment on comments, and Mazu as well, Elia, Rin, when you guys comment on posts and things, we see them. The angels bring them to our attention. We see them. We get to see those events. And if it wasn't for some of you like commenting, I wouldn't even known that Rin had a birthday at all. I read her first post once. I'm like, oh, it feels like my birthday. I'm like, oh, that's great. That's great. That's awesome. I'm like, oh shit, it's actually your birthday. Fuck. Here's some fucking like healing energy and shit. Here's some integration. Like, let me actually do something, shit. And like, that's what the algorithm is all about. You have angels basically guiding things to your attention and awareness, which things are meant for you, which speak and ring out to your soul, which you need to hear. That's what the algorithm is all about. It's not the algorithm. You have a team of souls helping you guide you to these things. And yeah, life is conscious. Life is awareness, guys. You're literally sitting in a sea of souls which want to help you. Your entire purpose in life is you. It's about you and your energies and your ability to create. What is it that you wish to create, dear soul, dear creator? Now that you know all this, now that you know and you have all this magnificence about you, what is it you want to create? What is it that you truly want to do? Do you want to come, and what really fulfills and satisfies you and your role is by learning your role and fulfilling the fulfillment of your soul, becoming the perfect version of yourself, of meeting yourself some way, halfway in between of what your ideals are meant to be, of what you know is possible, of what you want for yourself. And for a lot of you, that's to be physically strong, to be beautiful, to be capable, to be able. And I think I pretty much said all I need to say. You can live for a lot longer than y'all do, just by taking your attention away from the clocks and from the timelines. Turn a lot of your notifications and updates off if you can. Try to use more and to allow your phones and devices to rest. That's why you need to turn your Wi-Fi routers off every so often, and your computers as well. Why they basically lock up eventually, because the souls are basically running them. They get tired themselves. They can't do it anymore. And it's like, they just like, why is it so slow? And it's like, even if you try to restart it, it's just like you start running into the same processes again and again. You got to let it rest. You got to give them few hours. Go to sleep, dumbass. Go to sleep. Let them rest. Yeah, basically said all I need to. I'll update you guys as I go along. Have peace and go well. Ganbei. 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 Cheers. Celebrate. Seriously, that's what life's all about. Peace, pleasure, and prosperity, and happiness, and abundance, and wealth. Just take care, guys. Take care. Yeah, just have fun. Seriously, life is about the freedom and expression of joy, and just putting yourself out there, man. Just being yourselves, just energetically, just going, and just expressing your energies. Be happy to someone, uplift them, uplift their life. When you uplift others, you uplift yourself. You feel it perceptively within yourself, and you always do, and you always have. When you cause misery and suffering, it echoes back out to you. When you create peace, happiness, and prosperity, it echoes back to you as well. And you feel that. You feel that abundance. You feel that happiness. You feel that revitalization of life. You feel that vitalization of life. And that's awesome. That's what being a VTuber is all about. That's what being a YouTuber is all about. Being an internet celebrity, star, singer, personality, anything is about. It's about touching, about reaching out to others. It's about uplifting them. It's about uplifting yourself. It makes them happy, and it makes you happy as well. Connection is where it's at. People want peace. People want connection. People want empathy. People want compassion. People want others to let them know that they are heard and seen and understood. That there's somebody that cares about them. And especially when y'all, especially VTubers and like just people just online and in general, y'all greet and y'all reach out to each other so compassionately, and just like people you've never seen or met before, people you've seen just coming in again. You say, "Hi, hello, hello." It's just like hi. You have no idea what being kind does to a person. It's just like, wow. From what I'm there, I'm greeted so warmly. In that moment, it sticks with them. That kindness, of rubbing, of compassion, of being with them, of stroking on them, of just like rubbing their head or something, of just like hugging them. It leaves an imprint that most haven't quite felt just yet. And we need to start feeling more of that, guys. And it's very easy to do. It's very easy to love on one another. And that's what being a master and being connected with your own energies is about, is learning how to love on others, learning how to love in general, of learning how to hold space. When you open your heart, it allows you to hold space. It allows you to be energetically aware and in tune. It allows you to hold space and to know what to do, to how to hold them, how to love on them. What is needed, what they can accept, what you can accept, what is required, what is needed. It's not always going to be like, it's just like it's at first when you first encounter a person, it's like you sit in front of them and you're holding space with them. That's love. That's love, baby. That's what you're supposed to do at first. And you start tuning into them, you start settling into their needs, you start settling into their resonance. And you start forming a pathway, a two-way connection which strengthens and it builds over time. It gets gradually stronger. And that's what friendship's all about. And eventually you get so used to being around that person, you can basically do almost anything when it comes to love, when it comes to affection. You can basically start touching on them. And it's like, hi friend. They basically allow you and they let you. And it's just like, this is beautiful. And you saw that it was good. Because it allows a continuation of life. And it's just, yeah. Also, just like an energetic thought understanding for some of you, and that there are some plants in the wild which are basically very prickly, very whose leaves, when they drop, they basically form like ninja stars. It's extremely painful to step upon them. I think whatever this is, like a morning holly bush or something, a holly bush tree. Cow drop trees. And so basically, I have a slight video recording. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this, but like I cut all. There were 2 bushes growing here. One is it's a lesser pointy form. It's not as harmful, but like to say it this way, to say this metaphor this way. Something could be very big, very egregious looking on the outside, but the benefit that they protect and provide to you of being in that sort of guardianship role, like Trump or like a holly bush tree, you don't want to immediately cut them down. You don't want to immediately remove them, because there's a protection, a benefit that they're providing you that other people can't transverse or be or enact around. They won't let that. Their physical presence, their being itself will not allow that. They will not allow themselves to be stepped upon, or you will get pricked, you will get slapped, you will be retaliated upon. And you sense that, you know that, and you're aware of that. And you being the softer person, the less experienced lifetime person, need to either see or recognize that and to not dismiss them so quickly. And that's what I've done with some tree, a holly bush tree that stood over my property, that stood over my fruit and flower field. I cut it down a little bit too soon. I destroyed the roots, and I cut at the trunk when I should not have. I should have just cut at the roots and just let the roots really take hold, and let that do it, and let that process do its thing. And just by it existing, even though it completely died, just by that standing, by that those empty barren branches, them just standing, just being there, it allowed shade of the sun, of where energy was being hit to. Basically, it cast out a shade over everything else, which allowed less dehydration, more protection, less wind disturbance than if it had not been there at all. And so, if you ever have bushes like that growing around your property, let them. And they are dangerous and like holly bushes to step upon, especially for fucking children. I fucking hate those for children. And thistle bushes and shit, and like nettles. They are useful in some ways, but to have a gradual plan in mind to basically call them back. You call them back gradually. CULL. That's basically what all this is here. All this, the remains of those holly bushes, of that holly bush. It's just basically I just cut it in this bake. I'm using it as like mulch, as something to basically hold back the dehydration of the land, because that just being the sun striking upon it, and just the humidity and the moisture itself, when it rises, it meets that and it falls back down. It doesn't allow it to evaporate. It's all needed. It's all helpful. It's a resource. To treat all people as a resource, no matter how big and egregious they seem. All things can change over time. Things that are worked with especially. You can communicate, you can talk to plants, you can call different characteristics into them. It takes energy to do so. And for a lot of you who have more energy and awareness and all that free time and bullshit, you're going to be able to do this. You're going to be able to do this. For me, I just cut it down physically. It's a lot easier. It takes a lot less energy. But to know that we can't just be simply relaxed about everything in life. We have to take awareness, we have to take focus, we have to take responsibility, we have to do things which are more sensible. For the killing and culling of animals, we need to do what is sensible and responsible. We need to do things which are more compassionate and aware. Because you and they deserve that. They deserve a peaceful life. You deserve a peaceful existence. And we can't have that when there's so much death, when there's so much death, and when there's so much suffering. It's not so much even about the death. Death is a natural process of life. It's about the suffering. That needs to go. That can go, and that can go very easily once we take compassion and are aware. You're the whole reason. You're the whole reason why we're being here. You're the whole reason why we are here. Everything about you is magnificent, from your soul, from the head, from the bottom of your feet and upwards. Now just become the best and most beautiful version of yourself that you can. And you will be, just by your gradual and continual focus. All right, go out and peace. All right, for a lot of you, when you're working out, especially for the first time, when you're just starting out, one of the first areas that's going to hurt for you is your shoulders, sockets, these joints right here. They need to be strengthened up first, and that's going to take some time, and that's going to help some of y'all with doing. But especially if you're following my new Twitter talks, I'm Dean the Doctor on X. I'm Dean the Doctor X on Twitter. And basically what I was talking about is what Bruce Lee was trying to show was his ability to, it wasn't called the 1-inch punch, it was just a close punch. He's just hitting you at a close distance. And so when you're, in order to deal pain, in order to win a fight, all you have to do is to deal someone enough pain that to the point that they can't tolerate it anymore. Just deal them enough pain where they submit, where they cannot endure. Or it basically breaks their focus, their awareness, their attention, their intent, their mindset, their rage. Just cause them enough pain, and they will. And so to do that, you don't necessarily have to draw back, you don't have to throw strikes like this. You can just, did you see where I launched that at? It was just like, and it's just like, I'm just shake your hand, I'm gonna punch you in the face. And it's just like, and it's like, that's all you need to do is just hit their skin. Just cause them enough pain, just hit their body. Just hit their stomach, hit their liver. And it's just like, that casual motion of just like, you don't even like, it's just like, I'm just like reaching up, and it's just like being able to throw a punch from right here to here. Most people don't practice that from like right here to there, or even from right here to here. Being able to, and that's helpful in case like somebody grabs you around the middle and they're like on your left or right side. Most people don't have the ability to strike at them, to hit them. And by doing so, by either doing this ways, or that ways, or even up, trying to punch someone up like an uppercut or an up cross, most people don't do that, and it puts an enormous load upon here at first, and it takes months, it takes weeks to work this up. And so please don't get discouraged on that. For me, shoulder pains until now haven't really subsided all that much for me. And so to please keep aware of that, and to whenever you encounter those pains, and you get that pain, it's like, oh, heal it. Just focus on healing it. Connect with your heart, with the triad of your mind, your happy smile, and your heart, and you can connect with it, and you can speed the healing of that significantly, almost instantaneously. So I want you to do that for you all when you're working out, whenever you're doing your planks, whenever you're doing your raises, your pushes, your holds, your sit-ups, your holds. To focus upon the active engagement of healing, it requires a focus. It requires intent. And that helps, it speeds it up significantly. With your focus, you can do anything. And so what Bruce Lee was talking about was, most people go through life with only one single set specific awareness and point in their minds. And that isn't the full spectrum, that isn't the complete spectrum, that isn't what all is needed. They're missing out on several key points. If you develop all of your power and all of your ability to basically crush rocks in just one direction, you're just like, I can do it now, I can crush something. If your opponent is faster than you, and if you never train for this, and if they move or if they dodge, all your power, all your strength is basically wasted in that moment, trying to hit at them, and they move to where you are not. And that's the point of being able to basically develop your whole body. That's what the calisthenic holds are all about. Being able to move and maneuver your body and like lift up your legs over your head and like back and forwards and like move yourself to the side and jock yourself all around, even doing like this. And just like you have like complete locomotion in your arms. People who walk on their arms, who walk using their arms, have to be able to do like all of this. And when you do that with your legs as well, you're like a hunter, a sprinter, a gatherer. You have complete mobility and flexibility of movement. You have complete command of your cells. You can move anywhere as you wish to. You can move to left or right out of harm's way and forward and back. And it's just like, most people aren't set up for that, especially if they train alone and by themselves. And it takes years to work up to, it takes about a year to train for that specifically, to be able to track down or to hit or throw at a moving target. To know to not waste or utilize all your energy too quickly, and to basically to engage with them more rather calmly, and to keep that awareness in mind. If you can cause them more pain than they can cause you, you win. If you can hit at them, if you can strike, if you can scratch, if you can bite at them, if you can claw at them with your face, if you can just strike them with your knuckles, just strike them. It's like not even a straight punch, just a strike across the face. That's why I encourage horizontal strikes so much. To work up the surfaces, the strike faces of your skin, of your arms, of your elbows, so that if you do get close, you can hit them. If getting hit on the head like that really hurts. It's boom, 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 boom. Not many people can take that. They're not expecting that kind of punching on the back of the head. It's a big no-no in some sports, for good reasons. It's very sensitive. The temples are very sensitive. Right here on the necks, right here in the throat, it's very sensitive. Right here on the sternum, very sensitive. Getting hit in the liver, getting hit in the stomach, it's very sensitive. The groin, the chest, the pelvis, yeah, very sensitive. Shoulders are probably going to come first. Work on developing the width of this as well, on all these tendons, which outreach, so all this focus. Basically, everywhere I was talking to you about before, just focus on the overreach and the guidance of those tendons as well. That helps. The growth of those bones. You want to widen this out. There's a scene in Deku, there's a scene in My Hero Academia with basically Bakugo, where like Shigaraki or something, he grabs his arm and he basically like squeezes it and breaks his arm. And that's because he's never trained, and like a kid, you never really trained those areas to be able to strike, to hit people with. And when you do, you're very hard to kill, you're very hard to crush, you're very hard to just simply knock aside. You're very useful, you're very capable, and your body itself is very physically strong. When you're very powerfully engaged, when your core and everything is just so built, your neck muscles as well, all these tendons and ligaments, so when you get hit. So when you get hit in the face, when you get hit in the skull, there's no danger of your neck snapping. You've got so much strength, you've got so much foundation there, built from the spine up, from your hips to your legs, to your feet, to your ankles, to your toes. It all needs to come together in separate ones. You can't really have any real weak points. Because if you're damaged in battle, you've got to heal that, or you've got to deal with that. And it's just like, it's an inconvenience and a hazard. And no one really tells you about it, but that's how it is, and that's how it is. And yeah, you guys are gonna do amazing just with those few key pointers. If you ever listen to some of Bruce Lee's older talks, he doesn't really say a whole much. It's not all that profound, which if you really dive into it, it's not that helpful. Be formless, shapeless water. It's mainly words, because he's speaking without love. He's trying to keep the truth from you. He's, unlike me, I'm trying to give it to you all right now. Because you, like my children, are going to find these videos, these tapes someday, and you're going to need to know the whole truth of everything that I can represent to you, clearly and accurately as possible. And I'm using my heart to do that, to try to feel into the sense of the need for the words of what I'm supposed to communicate, to relate to you, the concepts. Hanging down on things, that improves your finger strength immensely. Spinning something, like Elia was showing me, like this, like just doing like this, especially like these last two digits which are rarely ever used, and the size of your fingers like this. These are almost really, it's never really used. Being able just to do this, it requires so much finger dexterity and strength. You gotta work up all those tendons and ligaments, and to heal, and to focus with that, because they're gonna get sore. The first time you do this, it's gonna get sore. It's gonna be sore when you, after like doing like this and trying to flip and spin these things like that. It's gonna get sore for you, and just to work with it. When you reach that soreness point, just even continuously in the moment as you're getting sore, you can continuously just build up strength and build up strength and build up strength and just building strength. And it's like it helps you do this like without distractions and stuff. And That's what that's all about. Like it works up finger dexterity. It makes you more capable, it makes your fingers themselves stronger. So when you impact or run into things, they're not harmed as much. You can improve the density of your cells. The chemical composition, which basically makes them more resilient to harm, wear, and impact. It makes them more powerful as well. But just doing that, that requires such finger mobility, which is not normally ever talked about, even discussed or engaged with, especially not today's and nowadays culture. Most of our movements are almost always straight down. It's always like this. But being able to move side to side like this is very weak. My fingers are very weak in this direction. And that's what Bruce Lee was talking about. You'd want complete control in all directions. And when you obtain that, when you look at someone's hands who's able to do that, who has like complete strength in like all directions, they're able to pull something across this ways, up or down, across in front, they look amazing. They look shredded. They're not just bulky, they're ripped. They're shredded. Like they have just muscles upon muscles. Their muscles are muscly. They're just full with muscle. It's just like it just comes from all directions. This is like, and it looks amazing. It looks scary. It looks fantastic. That's what calisthenic bodies are all about. That's what Tarzan's body was all about. He's not just bulky in one direction, but he's fit in all directions. He can move. He's agile. He can evade you. He can duck you. He can do anything. He can do anything to you. And to basically work on bodies like that. When you lift weights, I want you to take that weight and to like jockey it around. Shoot, I probably left it outside. Fucking outside. But to take those weights and to move them, to jockey them around, to toss them back and forth like this, to figure eight with them, to shake them, to move them across your body. And you don't need really heavy weights for that. You just need something of several pounds, and just to move that. Some heavy milk jugs even, just like it puts such a strain on like your shoulders, your joints, and just to really fully engage with your body like that in all directions. Because you as a father, a parent, a child, a mother, as a friend even one day, as a caretaker, as a caretaker, one day you're going to have to be able to enact a force to be able to to hold something from almost any and all angles. You have to be able to deal with this situation. And that's one of the ways you can deal with almost all these situations, by holding weights, by jockeying them back and forth, by shaking them around, by moving them all over and across and holding them out to and from your body, from out and behind you, and just working with them like that. This odd, unorthodox movement, which almost no one ever considers. Directions and angles. If someone's behind you, you need to be able to throw a punch, or you need to be able to grab a force and like grab their neck or grab their eyes or something. And most people aren't trained for that, to be able to strike behind them, strike directly behind them. Most people don't consider those things. And so, or to be able to dodge, to move, and like to get out of the way of you and jump up or jump down, even duck and like even move across. We'll be able to shift or like just slip, and like just be able to shift and move your head out the way. Because if you can avoid their force, they basically just continue on. It's just like, and it's a great waster and an expenditure of energy for them, and you can use that to your advantage. Just like the Matrix, I can teach you skills. I can basically teach you combat awareness. I can quickly update you to my level. It's very costly for me to do so. Right now, it's not that needed at this time. And honestly, if some of you want this, you're going to have to pay me for it in some way. You're going to have to compensate me somehow. You only have my address. And so, yeah, if you want me to make you become a skilled fighter basically overnight, just say so and do so. And I will make that process happen for you, and you will be surprised. And that gentle knowledge and knowing and awareness will come to you. Just suddenly, it'll just appear. It'll happen right in your lap. And you can avoid decades and years of training like this. You still have to become physically strong, and I can help you do that as well. I can work with you and your physical body to help with using your own resources and build you up from afar, from where I am right now. I've done it before, I've done it. I'm very capable. I'm an immensely powerful healer. I'm the most powerful healer of them all. We can teach you anything. Guitar, piano, If you want to learn literature, if you want to learn language, we can do that for you as well. We can quickly update you. We can give you lifetimes of experience. It takes about a day, maybe even less, maybe even a lot less. But it takes a great expenditure of energy, which I'm not willing to deal with without compensation at this point. Because compensation is needed. It's an ebb and flow, as all life is. There's a reciprocation on the process of fair payment, and of fair payment as well. You are mentally capable, you're more capable than you know. And usually when someone is speaking to you without love, a lot of what they say doesn't really make sense. It's basically, when you speak without love, it's just noise. Because you're not really connecting with that person or what you need to say next. And by being more steady and aware of people, you learn not to take too much of people's time. And you learn to be more peaceful in the silence of and you learn to tune into what they need in the silence as well. You learn to tune into what they need. And you can feel that with the steadiness and openness of your heart. Just sitting there and just doing, and just that love. Love is the most important thing, the openness of the heart, because that allows pretty much all else. With that generally comes just about everything that you could ever need or ask for. Keep sitting before spirit, before your own energies, and keep asking, keep putting out the intention of what I need to do next, because it will be gradually shown to you, as long as you hold those energies always. Yeah, basically covered at that point. All right, see you guys.